Oh, it's still red, the booster. Hey, everyone. I just said it was red. Yeah, that internet thing wasn't working for me yesterday, so I couldn't come on here. We were having a bunch of glitches. So hopefully this works. And we are here today to talk to you about what is going on in Edmonton's real estate housing market for the week of June 7th. And so May is finished. I cannot believe the whole entire month of May went by. Definitely much quieter than it was last year. And we're going to take a look and dive right into the numbers right now. So currently there are 2,913 active listings. So from last week, just slightly down. The prior weeks before, we've been staying pretty similar. We haven't had seen a massive change at all in Edmonton for single family homes. And in St. Albert, we saw 176 over 181 the week before. Again, not a massive change and nothing really to note. In Sherwood Park, we've had 119, so they're slightly higher than they actually have been in a while. But again, nothing crazy. And in Spruce Grove, 154 to 158. So really, the active listings have been staying quite similar. They are still really low. We still would like to see active listings over about 3,500, I would say, to be a little bit more balanced of a market. Now, that being said, the prices of some of these active listings are overpriced, actually, quite a few of them. So they're not moving as quickly, and buyers are a lot slower to move because if it's not a good deal or even on market, they are going to shy away from it. There's a few factors. One, they were burned last year with prices going higher and higher every 5 minutes, but also the interest rates have make a big difference. The interest rates are almost double than last year, actually more, and so mortgage payments are higher when people are looking at the same price points. So buyers don't have that tolerance to be able to deal with prices that are over. Now that being said, if you price your house properly as a seller, you're still going to get multiple offers. You're still going to get interest. So it just depends on how you price the home. The single family homes are still in high demand, the 350 to 450. So if you can price it, I would say market value would be what a similar property sold for your house recently in the last 60 days or less. And if you price just under, which is like $5,000 under what the last sold is, it will definitely get a ton of action. It'll get a lot of action even at market. Now, if you try to test the market and put 5, 10,000, 15, 20,000 over, it's not going to work. We're seeing that it just stalls things. People aren't even looking at the property. We're still seeing showings happening on properties that have a good price, but just not moving quickly enough because buyers are just looking around and just being a little slower. They don't have lots to look at, but they definitely are making a slower move. So if you take a look at the pending sales for this last week, we were looking at 252 versus 248 the week before in Edmonton for single family homes. Now, that just means that the amount of offers being written in this last week were pretty much on par for the week before. We're in June now. I would suspect the offers being written in the next month or two is probably going to go down. So again, if you're a seller, you want to make sure you're pricing your house properly so you do get that offer before you end up being the house that just sits there and the offers start to not be as frequent. St. Albert 22 over 18. So they saw a little bit of a tiny spike in the last week. Sherwood Park slowed down from last week. So it's 15 over the 21 and Spruce Grove 19 over the 21. So pretty much the same. Now, if you take a look at the sold properties in the last 7 days, these are properties that either were pending and the conditions were removed or someone wrote an offer and had no conditions. I have not seen very much of that at all this year. We're definitely seeing conditions before people remove conditions this year. And in Edmonton for single family homes, we had 228 in the last week over 205. Now, that's also not surprising to me because the timing of everything, if you remove conditions right now, you're looking in 30 days possession, a July, mid-July, August possession, which is kind of what people want to do to move in the summertime over like summer break and get settled in before school starts. So the numbers in the next little bit, I think, are going to be our last little influx. And I think that things will start to slow down probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. The numbers will start to really, I think, quiet down for some time. September, October is usually quieter. And then it gets even quieter in November, December. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. But that's the trend have seen over the years. Now, if you take a look at last year, because last year we were coming off of that huge spike. And then we started getting really quiet. And June, July just got really, really, really quiet compared to what it was the first half of the year. The first half of the year was very unsustainable and very unreal for Edmonton's real estate market. So if you take a look at last year's versus this year, you have 321 that have sold this past week over the 307 the week before. Um, 321 was last year's sales. In St. Albert, you're going to see 34 last year over 30. So that's pretty similar, pretty on par. So it looks like St. Albert has been already. The surrounding areas has already kind of been aligning with last year's number. Sherwood Park, 32 versus 30, very nominal. And Spruce Grove, 23 versus 22. So they're very similar. But in terms of Edmonton, it's pretty much, I mean, there's 20 odd properties that it was off from last year. So I would say that definitely this time last year, we're seeing the same amount of activity, but the biggest difference is the interest rates last year were not this high yet. Now, we had already started to see some increases, but they still weren't that high. So properties continue to sell. Now, some of the mentality right now is people's headspace is finally getting adjusted to what's reality, both sellers and buyers. And so if the buyers are ready to deal with what they can deal with to buy the home they need to buy, they're willing to put an offer in on a property and not necessarily lowball it, because lowballing will also not necessarily work, because if a seller thinks their house is worth this much and the market value is here and the buyer comes in here, you can see the big discrepancy. You've got to make sure that, yeah, everyone wants to get a deal, but you also have to think about, if you were the seller, would you want to be giving your house away for free? And also, as a seller, do you, as a buyer, want to overpay for a house when it doesn't warrant it? I know a lot of emotions get involved, especially when you're selling a home that you've been in for a really long time, but really important to take consideration all of the numbers before you kind of just make these emotional decisions. So we are recording our May market stats, what happened in all of May. We're recording that this week and it will be live next Saturday on YouTube. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and we will be back next Tuesday as long as my internet works. I'm sorry we came in on Wednesday, but it looks like more of you guys were able to attend. So we'll talk to you guys next week.